long as the website isn't working and the recorder isn't on. Too many backups. Too many backups, you can't even use that anymore.
Hello, Daryl. We'll go ahead and call the meeting order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If anybody's having a hard time hearing, text Paul tonight to make sure we know.
I'm ready.
Is that his number? 430 Paul?
You heard the table vibrate, you know somebody's trying.
My wife says it's on, but there is a clicking sound.
That darn clicking sound.
I don't know where the clicking is coming from.
That's where the clicking is coming from. Where's that clicking sound from? It seems like when the volume is higher, it tends to click more than when it's lower. What I heard. I don't know if that helps you at all or just makes it more confusing.
All right. Hopefully the clicking goes away. First item. The minutes from the last meeting, has everybody had a chance to look at it? Unless there's any changes, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Dave, or moved by Dave, seconded by Paul. Is there any other discussion?
Just a couple typos on here. Just for JR's sake, make sure he gets the right check. You're welcome. I think there's an N in there, or what's missing?
That's C where it's
It's OHSCAD. NN.
We'll take the check though.
They'll take the check, they'll cash it, right?
We'll make sure it gets signed.
And then on that retention pond, was there a city engineer at that meeting? I don't think there was. We had talked to him, but he wasn't at the meeting.
Thank you, Paul.
And then also, I'm not sure on the very end, on the application for property tax exemption, property owner, I couldn't find that on my, I'm not sure what Douglas Scott and Don Walden, is there two people in that, or?
Yeah.
I couldn't find it for any reason to review that, so.
Also on there, I didn't make a motion to close the last.
Oh, that's right, I got that too. Dave wasn't here to close, to adjourn. Yeah, I'm ready.
Was either Paul or Jason.
Here you go, give that to her.
We'll listen to the
I'm
recording.
going, I don't even think I
Thank
was
you,
there.
Paul.
Do I have a motion approved with those changes?
I'll make the motion.
Or, sorry, is that everything okay with those changes? All those in favor with the changes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next item is the bill. As a motion to approve the bill.
we had a plan of trying to utilize some of those on the north side of our south building. And I had hoped to be able to, I guess I'd call it two-story, have a second, have the ground unit and then something on top. But, and I haven't looked for or read the, planning and zoning, what they've met with or approved, but, I'm led to believe there'd probably be some problems with what we were hoping to do, so. And, I'm just curious if, what all if it's aesthetics or safety or, what all the root of that would be. But if it's a done deal, I appreciate what each of you do. If it's not a done deal, I still appreciate what you do. This is not my comfort zone, something like this. But, so again, if you just tell me to go home and read it, I will. I guess I've lost track of some of this, and I have missed some recent commission meetings, so I'm negligent in that regard.
This is fairly new to us too, so the planning and zoning just put this out. This is the final draft, right, the final draft, they've been working on it. So this is really, to say that you're out of touch, unless you just didn't read it, this week, you would have known about it, so. I guess my first question would be, because it seems like yours is about the stacking of containers, was there a specific reason why planning and zoning didn't want stacking containers?
It wasn't necessarily that they said stacking containers were prohibited. This was the draft from other places, and they realized that this is probably something that we should go with.
I guess this is my thoughts. I don't, to say it's completely prohibited, I think we should have an option there of some sort where it could be, if somebody had a good case to present to planning and zoning, that it would come to planning and zoning and to the city commission, that then we would have to approve it. You know, because I think if something is done nice and it's neat and it fits the aesthetics of the area where it is, I don't see why it should be a problem. Obviously, if it didn't fit or if it was a safety concern of how they were going to do it, but I think it would be nice to, instead of just leaving us completely saying no, you can't. I think it's nice to have that option to at least look at what these people may be interested in. That's my opinion. I don't know what other people think.
Yeah, that's my opinion too. I think that I would rather see something like that than have stuff just scattered all over. At least you're gonna have it in storage containers.
My assumption is these aren't temporary, right? These are permanent. You want
These are permanent structures.
These are permanent. Yep.
My assumption on the stacking would be a safety. If somebody came up to hit it or whatever, that building is not tied down, or if you get a windstorm, is that container gonna go flat?
So if you didn't stack it, would that make a difference? Or you just went one roll ground?
Well, you're not, think about when you're putting something on top of another item and you're putting more, you're now making that most containers, if you stacked it, would be there, you'd have more vertical height than you would width. And it doesn't mean that it says stacking of containers, just like any ordinance that we have on planning and zoning, there is variances that can be put in, correct, JR? And this would be one of those cases that could be applied to planning and zoning.
Well, and I personally, as I'm reading through this, would kind of like clarification, because in one instance it says that they can be allowed for temporary use, but if I go down,
So
Which would be
commercial,
right?
industrial,
Okay.
anything that fits in an agricultural if it was there,
Okay,
but anything non-residential.
okay.
So if they're doing their house construction and they have to have a storage, they could use that temporarily?
That's a temporary exception, that's in this
Yep.
ordinance, yep. For the duration of the project is what it says here, but it has to have a building permit filled out and extended if they need to.
Okay, thank you.
Just, and I know things can change on our part, but, 9 years ago when we acquired both properties, north and south, there was a lean-to coming off of the north side of the south building, and some other things, out in the parking lot area. Where I would envision these going is on the concrete slab that's there where there had been this lean-to that had given up years before we bought the property. We'd like to utilize these even if it's one story only. I don't know if that's the way to explain it, but if we could go with two, it'd be pretty easy to cable the second to the first or cable the second to the concrete that's below, so.
Are you talking on the north side of Charlie's old building?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. The height of that building is 17 feet. I'm guessing the height of two of these would pretty much be the same. So,
But on the same instance, Jeff, you're coming here to argue something, which is fine, and want forgiveness for it, but what if now we change the ordinance to say, yes, you can stack doubles, and then somebody goes and puts it in a situation where they just stack them out in the middle of nowhere, which is exactly opposite. I'm not saying that we should give an answer or change the ordinance, but it is the remedy to this if Jeff wants to change it, to go to planning and zoning and get their approval, that this is the reason why we should be able to do it. And that's what we have set forth in place.
And like I say, I'm behind. Whether I've missed it completely or whether it hasn't been in the banner for me to read yet. So, but
Is this on the residential, Jeff, or the non-residential? The-
Property?
The container, yeah, where you have it, where you want
our commercial property.
commercial property?
Argue is a pretty strong word there.
Which businesses can put in and the reason behind why they put these in, sitting and listing at planning and zoning is that not all of our business districts or industrial districts are similar. Some have residential backed right up to it. So if you were a residential person and you had 2 storage containers as your back fence, per se, is that something that you'd want to look at? Compared to if it's out at Daglman's where there isn't, and that's part of their reasoning for this, is to try to alleviate some of that. And as we found out in past, there was cargo containers that came into residential areas, and that's what sparked the whole thing. And they're not saying, no, you can't have, if you read in there, their intent of it is if you're facing a high traffic or residential area, then you need to cover it up in some way, shape, or form. If not, then you wouldn't necessarily have to. But that's not my decision, that's that commission's decision to decide. And I'm just trying to relay what I know from them.
Well, this is me speaking, I think that we obviously have somebody that has concern about it, and I'm guessing if there's one person that has concern about it, there may be others. I think it would be in our best interest to ask the planning and zoning, specifically why, if it was just safety, or why it was, or if we could put something similar to a variance where we could, you know, so they would look at each individual stacking situation and say, yes, that fit, that we can see that, or they say, no, that can't be, because it might be backing up to a residential area or not. I guess it just, I'm just not a fan of things, of just basic, and necessarily saying, no, you can't do that, period, without any, you know, well then, if that be the case, then we might as well get rid of variances too. You know, so, you know, it's maybe a poor comparison, but, you know, I guess I would, you know, and maybe they have a good answer to why they did it, I don't know. But I don't know what that is for sure, so, you know, Levi mentioned a couple, but I think also he kind of counteracted, well, can you tie it down? Can you support it? Can you brace it somehow, to where it isn't a safety concern, so. but-
I agree, I think planning and zoning is a great place, because the way I'm reading this, I really, I suck at directions, but the way I'm reading it, if it's on commercial, it's on concrete, I'm just not seeing anything. The only thing I see is that the stacking is prohibited, so I think this is definitely planning and zoning on my end.
As far as
Just looking at this part and where he's got it, or where he wants it and stuff, I
But-
wouldn't be able to decide what.
So my question is, are you asking for the ordinance to be changed, or are you asking to make it determined for Jeff?
No, I think you'd want to go back and relook at the ordinance.
That's the only way you're gonna change it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess I was
Because I think,
confused.
that
get
you
what
had
you're
some
saying, but-
concerns on some of the wording too, so maybe, you know, we should just take another quick look at it before we do a first reading on it.
Yeah, because I read through it and then there's some parts where they're just great for me, so I don't know.
And my intent isn't to take your valuable time from things that are much more important. I know that my request is kind of a one-off.
Your time is just as important as anybody else's.
Yeah, but this is I'm guessing you won't get a lot of questions like this, so.
That's what we're here for, Jeff.
So,
Until somebody wants to do it, and they think, well, they can, and then they read this and they say, well, what the heck did they do that for? You know, and if somebody asks me that, I want to be able to tell them, this is why we did it. We determined that it was an issue for this particular reason, and that's why we decided to do it. And maybe planning and zoning has that.
so what you all have in front of you that you're looking at and referencing, where do I find that? Do I go back and look at a your live event?
It's right on the
Planning and
agenda.
zoning?
It's right on the agenda for
but you
tonight.
can also
Oh,
get a copy from the office if you.
okay. Okay. Enjoy the evening.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions on it
I don't think
that you
so.
need answered?
I think it's just to go over number 3 and 4, to see what that variation is there. If it's, would have to be a change in ordinance, or it's not a change in ordinance.
You mean on the stacking or the difference between?
Yeah, it says stacking is not,
Right, when
stacking
you,
is prohibited.
you said 3 and 4, so that's why I was confused.
Yeah,
So does that mean you need section 3 and section 4?
yes, I'm
to
sorry.
look-
Oh, wait, oh my gosh, I'm way down in pages, that's why. Section 6, 1, 3, section 6, 1, 4. There we go, thanks, I didn't even see that.
But you're just talking about
Yeah, whether that is within ordinance or it's not within ordinance.
the stacking, so
Mhm.
I.
Well, whether it can be there, it says no stacking, so I got that part, but it says the other ones, it almost seems like it could be, 'cause it follows all the other guidelines too, as long as he doesn't stack. So, just clarification of that,
Right.
probably to have a discussion on.
This isn't in our ordinances right now, is it?
No, this
Yeah,
is
that's
brand
right.
new.
That's why I read it, that's why I was thinking it was all new, so. And this was just something that they got from another community, similar type of thing, so.
Might have been a couple communities, but yes. I can't remember who exactly, but they get all credit if I ever remember who it is.
Well, it's a draft, so, you know.
Well, and this, you may have forgot that this did come before you guys before. When they first started looking at it and asked you guys for any input on it. Anything else on that? Otherwise, I will take it back to them on Monday. Okay?
I'm good, thank you.
Next, we'll go on to item new business B under the facade grant. Is there any discussion on the application?
Just to refresh my memory, I think we had a discussion on signs before, but, so just refresh my memory, was that, I mean, I don't have a problem with it, I just,
Yeah, there was a question on whether it, because I remember this, whether it had to be something permanent or not, because 3R Floral had her front done, and we did allow that.
And then also the cafe had theirs done as well.
Yep. And so mine is, I think what they're probably wanting to do, where it goes up in a bracket, and permanent up there, you just slide the cover off and on, basically. So, I'm assuming that's probably the closest thing. Well, this one's double-sided. Does that mean it's gonna be this way then?
Probably,
Is it that way?
I would assume.
Daryl, do you have anything that you wanna talk on?
I did not submit this one, but it'd be double-sided, it'd be facing the same way it is right now. I'm hearing on something else too, but, this one, it'd be like it's facing the A&R right now in the front building. So there'd be a new one put up in that place. Because the old one is pretty much, you know, it's pretty much a disaster from the 80s or 60s, you know.
fluorescent.
Yeah,
There's no
it all
options
has
on
to be
that.
replaced up there to go move forward and anchor into the building better.
What?
Symbol now. So, is that, you have that?
We do have, I don't know what it says, I'll have to look into it.
Is there any other questions?
You know, if you guys have been by the A&R, it's facing straight out, it has those ugly cables on it. Just try to renew it, make it look better, make the whole business, you know, really work better on Main Street.
That's the whole point of
Yep.
the facade grant.
Yeah.
But
That's how I understood it, was that it would be both sides, and you could see it from coming from the north and the
Yeah.
south.
Is there any other questions?
There's
Otherwise-
already one on there that faces the north and south.
Yeah, that's what they're looking at.
So it's just
That's what they wanna-
basically just taking it off, putting a new one in place.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
If there's no other questions, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Dave, seconded by Jason. Is there any other discussion? Nicole?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes,
Dave?
Yes.
And a yes, for motion carries. All right.
Daryl, you said you were here for something else, so you wanna talk about that now?
Yes, sir. 107 North Main, Paul's old barber shop, my dad's old building there. We had a water break underneath it, spill out a lot of water, but nobody noticing. So that bill right now, just for the water that accumulated out of there is $1,700 and $37. It started on the 1st as far as Sarah and some of the girls up at the city hall could figure, and I caught it on the 23rd of February. And we had the water shut off immediately. I was just seeing if we can cut that bill down a little bit, because I'm not a very rich man, but I'll pay what I can pay. But, you know, because before my brother passed away, we had quite a bit of money there. A little bit, that bill that I paid up pretty fast. And this bill, I can pay it down, but it's gonna take me a little bit if I can't get no help from you guys. But I probably do half here tomorrow if we can knock it down. I already paid Sarah $200 to keep the electrical going and fans and everything else, so we had to keep drying the crawl space out. And I still gotta get Sam over there to fix it.
You know, Daryl, we do have the option that you can pay it over time. We have that set up already where.
Right. But, ain't there something, okay, if you're, like our previous bills have been only $200. Because nobody's been staying there and everything else. So, with it going through the meter, if it wasn't going through the meter, you guys wouldn't know this. And you guys fix all that, or, you know, forgive that. And now you're saying that it went through the meter. So on my side, yes, I know that. I did everything I could by shutting the water off and everything else. But, so you guys will not forgive none of that, is what you're saying.
What I have an issue with this, Daryl, is there is another person who had their water break as well. And unfortunately, they paid their whole invoice without.
Okay, but okay, so city people, you know, why can't we have it where, okay, you use this much water, there's something wrong then. You know, there should be an alert or something, instead of going in halfway through the month and, oh, you got this much water used.
We can sure look at that. I think if there is a system that we can put in place, it's not onerous to our city staff that would maybe set out alert or something like that. I think that would be, you know, nice on our side that if we could do that, but obviously we'd have to have a contact for people that wanted that or, you know, but I don't expect them to look at every single meter. If there was something in the system that could alert them that this is going
There's something in
on.
your computer system, because everybody's on computer now, right?
Right,
So
right.
if-
Well, and
Okay,
if
but
use-
you have to understand how a meter works, that it only reads when we send a signal to ask it to read. It's not a constant communication back and forth. So it's when when our system says we're gonna take a meter reading is when we get the reading.
It will do readings every single day, and make that nice graph like what we looked at that one day you were in.
Yeah.
It doesn't alert us right now as to when the readings are particularly high or high usage during the day.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't alert us. We can look at what the usage was per day, but it doesn't tell us Daryl's got a huge leak, he has to have a leak.
Right.
So,
Right.
And the only way that I know that it's been caught in the past is where
Throwing out
the
somebody's
person
house.
going through the bill looks at it and says, this is off. And unfortunately, yours wasn't at that point yet.
And a lot of that is timing.
Yep.
You know, if you just read the meter and you had the water break, well, they might not ever look at it until the next
But
billing.
3,500
So,
gallon,
yeah, but if nobody's ever looking at it,
But I mean, people water their lawn when they sod it, like, and it runs and runs and runs, but you know, who's gonna monitor all that and call everybody when there's a toilet that's
Well, I'm not
constantly
saying, you know, in the
running?
summer months, people are filling their pool and everything, but middle of
They are,
winter
but
up here,
you wouldn't know. You
You
know,
know,
water
it's
usage
completely
is water
different.
usage. So that one's a tough one for me.
Only way I would say if we could is if there was something that was automatic in our system. It would automatically alert us. I don't expect our city staff to be looking at every meter, you know, so, but if if there was something in the system that could do it, I think it's a good thing, because then we wouldn't have something like this happen. But if we don't have the capabilities of doing it, that's a whole different
We
whole
don't.
different thing, so.
It is something that I had asked them to look into, but it isn't something that we can do at this
well,
point.
thank you guys for your time.
Okay? We'll go back up to city commissioners' reports. We'll start with Jason tonight.
I have nothing.
Paul?
Couple things on the electrical side. We got a line down here that we want to talk about, when hiring personnel. Save it till then, and that comes up. I was asking Sarah today too, I don't know where we're at on the charging station. You know, if we should find out where that fund is at and what that money is, and what point we need to start billing people using the charging station. And then I was also brought up to me about, there's communities out there, Jim, before he left, we were talking about streetlights. And our streetlights are in bad need of replacing. A lot of the outlets don't work on them. They're starting to show their age, so to speak. And I was visiting with somebody from another community, and he had made a comment. He said, well, they charge us $3.50 a month for streetlights. I don't know if anybody's seen that before, and I'd never heard of it, but they said, yeah, they charge them $3.50 a month. And I'm just thinking that we should maybe look at what it might cost us down the road to do streetlights and how we would plan on replacing them. Would this be an easy way to start a fund to kind of, so when we do want to replace those streetlights in the future, we have something built up to do that. It obviously isn't something new. Other electrical companies are doing it, at least the one where this gentleman lived. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, Casey, in other communities or not, but
There's a few different fees that a few different cities
Mhm.
have done. Hillsboro, for example, they do a $12.50 monthly fee for their streets, you know, just for gravel.
Mhm.
It's not unheard of.
This is a fee that gets billed to whom?
to each utility bill, just like mosquitoes. It's like your mosquito, you get $1 or 50, whatever that
Okay.
is. This would be on your electrical bill, it'd be a line item for streetlights.
Okay.
Just something to think about. You know, we can talk about it more, put it on the agenda. So it's on an agenda item, and we can, city can weigh in on it. But at some point, when we have to do something with those lights, we're either gonna have to have some money saved up, or we're gonna have to get it someplace. So I just want to kind of throw that out there, and if people have comments one way or another, I'd like to hear that. HEDC meeting. If you read in the paper, they are doing a $10,000 per home grant for people building homes out there. They did ask if the city was thinking about doing any type of incentives. So I don't know, it's another thing we could put on the agenda, if we would like to. If we're thinking about anything else, I told them at the time at the meeting, I said I didn't think that there was gonna be probably anything done with something like that immediately. But I also told them I'm just one person, so I said if people here have any ideas on what we can do to help spur development out there, you know, I'm all for it, whether it be, you know, maybe giving so much off a utility bill for the first year or something, or, you know, so just something like that. It might be something that maybe won't, that would help, you know, that we could maybe put with a package to help with development. And that would be, that grant is for anything in city limit Hillsboro. It's not just out west. So if you built a new house, any place where there was a old lot that was cleared off, that incentive is available there too. So it's just, the question was asked, I said I would bring it to the city commission, and and kind of get their feel for what they thought. If there's something, I can sure talk more with somebody, and maybe we could come up with something and bring it back and present it if you think it's a good idea. If not, I do understand we have a lot of things on our own table right now that we need to fix and get done too, So, but is there something small that we could maybe do that might help make a difference out there? I think it wouldn't be a bad idea.
We have that property tax up to 150,000 or something for the
Yeah.
first 2 years.
Yeah, that's
So
one thing.
included with that, but you're looking for something kind of,
Well, that we already have in place. It would be something that maybe, what would spur you to build a house up? That's all you gotta think is, okay, what would make me, what would push me over, back when they did the Prairie View edition, they did that $10,000 grant in Hillsboro bucks, and that spurred a lot of the lot sales there. Well, if you have $10,000 out there, that might pay for, in some cases, half your specials, so it's just something that, what could we do that would incentivize somebody building out there, and obviously, the quicker we get that filled out there, the more they're gonna start paying utilities down the road and property tax and things like that, so.
When we built our house, we got the 2-year, 75,000 for 2 years, and then they gave us, we paid so much for the lot, and then after we put the foundation in, then I think we got, I don't remember what it was half of that back.
And that was from the city.
That was from the
that was
city,
from the city.
because we basically sodded our lawn with that money.
Same for ours. Yeah. We got it back in steps.
And what kind of value would that put dollar-wise?
I mean, to be honest, that's why we built, was because the lots, I think, sometimes can be the deterrent, because just kind of thinking of paying for grass outside of, all the plumbing and electrical that you have to run to it, sometimes that can push someone to maybe wait a little bit longer. Or specials, that's the only two I can think of too, is sometimes if you're kind of hit with specials right away, that kind of deters a person from buying right away too.
And I know when talking to a few people, there's communities out there that, cities, not economic developments per se, but cities do, where they eat the cost of the lots, or they eat the cost of the specials, because they want people to build there. They may be in a certain financial situation to do that, I don't know, but,
You have to remember, though, that was a different situation over there, where
Right.
the city was the owner of those lots, and we were paying specials on them. We were
I don't
paying-
think they were on his, though, were they?
Not on Dave,
No.
but on where Nicole was at.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
And we bought ours through economic development back then.
Sure. Yep.
different.
Something to think about, if you would like me to pursue some different options, talking with some of the economic development people, somebody here, that maybe different things we could possibly do. I could talk to Jim, at Trail County, and he maybe could tell me what some other communities are doing. If you're interested, I'll take the time to do that. If you're not interested, I have better things to do with my time. So,
I think it's a good thing to do myself.
and not that you're approving doing anything, it's just approving, hey, take the time and go and find out what we can do. So,
I'm curious to listen to ideas.
All on the charging station, and I've been asked about that. Have we not been charging?
not as of today, no.
When we put that in, wasn't it a year after we put it in that we were gonna not charge for a year?
I think it was until the funds that were there were used, that were left over.
Oh, okay.
And I think I did ask Sarah that today, where we were at there. I don't know if she got an opportunity to determine that yet or not, but she was gonna look into it, and I don't know if she.
I think it was 5 years, we had all the fees and everything that were paid for, not necessarily the electricity was always paid for, but all the fees that we were associated with it was covered.
Okay.
But then
How much use are we, it's a good thing, how much does it get used?
Yeah, she had last year's numbers, but not this year. I didn't see this year's, how much it went up. It was kind of consistent last year. But, you know, where it's at this year, unless you've seen them, I haven't seen them this
I
year
haven't
yet.
seen
So.
anything.
But they are looking into that, so.
But it's one of those things too that you have to remember. So if we start charging and it's the same price here as it is somewhere else, or, if it's the same price here as other communities, how are we getting them to stop here right away to get them started to stop? I think that it's pretty, at this point, we have Fargo, Grand Forks. Could just move that possibly. So there's that to think about, not saying that we shouldn't charge at some point, but we haven't said anything. And it's very easily done on that software, I think. Sarah or Abby should have access to it into it, as far as I know.
You'll check into that, Casey, and kind of let us know
Yep.
where we're at there.
Yep.
And then, one thing I left is, beautification. I'm sure Levi has got some updates on the beautification side. That's all I have, Levi.
Okay. Dave?
The only thing I have is the fire department's got their second grass unit being worked on, and that should be back here down the road. And I just want to throw a thank you out to the city crew for doing an excellent job. Last Tuesday, got the town cleaned up pretty quick. And that's all I have.
Okay. Nicole?
I have nothing tonight.
I have nothing on beautification. We didn't meet the last, and we'll meet on Monday. There is still working on some of the land for the water, stormwater. I did talk to Steve, and he did say that if we didn't do the courthouse, we talked about a larger one section down here, possibly. That wouldn't work, or that wouldn't give us any benefit, but he said if we couldn't do the courthouse, we could put a line under Second Street, northwest, which would give us similar improvement to get the water out. And so we're still working on that. I did reach back out to those individuals of the land down there, and we're still working on that. Nothing been determined yet. Once I have something, I will come forward to you guys. Steve did send out, and Nicole got it too, there's 2 grants available, or loans / grants. One is not due until April, and that's the revolving fund for any water projects that we may have. Same thing that the water development plan, our April 30th, I think is when. So, we had some projects that we had listed last year. He just wanted to know if we were going to do those again. And I can't remember off the top of my head what they were, or if we have any other new ones. Do you remember?
For which ones?
The water development plan.
So like what it would fund?
No, he had a list before. I know we had stuff on the list before. I don't think we did get some of them. So it was a matter if we want to put them back on or not. Like I said, we have time on that one. That's not until the 30th. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Would that, so here it says, can fund water, conveyance flood control,
No, that's the other.
that's the other one?
That's the other one.
Okay.
The other one is
there's a hazard mitigation projects that can be done through the Department of Emergency Services. They used to be under FEMA grants. This is an actual loan fund, it's not it's a revolving loan fund for any mitigation plans or hazard mitigation plans. So that could include levees, drainage improvements, storm shelter installation, vegetative debris removal, flood prone property acquisition, slope stabilization, and development of mitigation plans. The only one that we have talked about in the past, because our stormwater isn't completely done, so it's not something we can get turned in soon, because it is due on the March 13th, which is next week. And I did talk to Paul a little bit about it, we could apply, this is just saying that we'd like to get on the list, this is our project, this is not a guarantee that we get it, this is not us saying, yes, we're moving forward with it, would be the generation project that we had talked about before. And so I did reach out just to find some quick numbers today to see what we would be at. Currently, we are producing 4 megawatts of electricity. The largest generators that are out there from CAT, because that's for the ones we have, to look at is another 2 megawatts. To do the same type of thing that we did now, where we had the building, they're 1.3 million just for the generator itself and engine. And it's 2.2 for a self-enclosed storage container type looking that comes from them, or it's not really a storage container, but it kind of has that look to it. Cabinet type. So that's 2.2 million for a 2 megawatt or 2 kilowatt generator. I had asked about natural gas, and he said by about 30% less from the diesel and electricity production. So I don't know that we'd want to go that route. Because we'd probably have to look at 4 to get the same amount. With that, it can be $5 million per project, and that's 1% for a 20-year term. So 1% interest over 20 years. Missouri River will pay us $5 per kilowatt. So on a 4, if we got 2 generators, that would bring in $20,000 a month. If you figured out your payment over 20 years, the city would be looking at putting in approximately $2,500 a month. Over and above the payment that we received from Missouri River. If you did just 1 generator, that would, half that amount at about $1,250, $1,000 to $1,250 that the city would have to kick in. That doesn't mean that we are kicking it in, because we're already getting paid $1,100, $11,000 a month for our 2 current generators. That's what we get paid every month now. Yep. Part of, if we were able to do 4, that would put us up to about 8, which would put us to power the city if the community ever lost because of any hazard. That doesn't mean if it's an in-town hazard, but this is part of that. Paul had asked about our electrical system, looking at it, and unfortunately I don't think that would fit, because it's not mitigating hazard to fix power lines or those types of things. There is other loans funds out for that. But, so my question is, and this is why it's, need to know tonight so that we can turn it in, is this a project that we should ask to us to help us with and submit for? And if so, what size? I don't know. So what questions do you have?
I'll let Paul ask the questions.
Well, I think it's a no-brainer, we have to do it, we should do one. I really think that we have to at least do one. You know, I don't know how often these things are gonna come in the future, you know, but 1% money and, you know, how long they're gonna keep paying, you know, Missouri River's gonna keep paying for these types of things, we don't know. You know, they may get better, they may get worse, we don't know, but I think we definitely need to look at doing at least the one. If the numbers come out right, like he's saying, is, you know, if it was $2,500 a month, and in 20 years we had 2 new generators paid off out there, you know, that's not too bad a deal, in my mind, if the numbers are right and everything goes the way it should, you know.
Now, so it is $2,500 a month for
20 years, you said, right? Yep.
As far as pay?
Yeah, as far as our portion to pay.
No, not 20. That's if we had 2 generators.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yep.
If we added 4 kilowatts of electricity
Yep.
of our potential.
Megawatts.
Or 4 megawatts of electrical production.
Okay, so the 2 generators, $2,500 a month payment on top of what basically MRES credits us.
Credits
for
us.
20 years. And those, so let's just say we're taking 2. Does that power on longer? I guess for me, I think generator, I can light up everything. It's gonna be over so long, so.
If you did 2, it would probably, under normal circumstances, it would power the whole city.
More power, right?
Yep.
Add more, okay. I get it.
In the past, Jim said the peak that he had ever seen was 9 megawatts of electricity being used at any one point in time.
You know, under normal circumstances, we probably use 4, you know, in the summertime, you know, 6 maybe at the most, so, for normal, you know. It obviously varies all over the board, depends upon what's going on, and, you know, we also gotta look at the fact that we're gonna be, at least the hope is that we add on to our community, and you never know what Anchor's gonna do. They've really boosted our usage a lot, you know, and, you know, so, but it's also important to know that this is just for our community if we lose our supply, you know, and the reality is too, if you wanna think about, is the blackouts, the rolling blackouts, they're gonna be more, you know, unless the government can figure out what they're gonna do with supplies, they're gonna be shutting down power more and more, you know, and, if we have the capability, they let us say, hey, you know, you power up your generators, well, now we're not gonna interrupt any services to the residents of Hillsboro, because we're kicking on the generators and running them to keep the city going when they call for us to, if they're gonna shut down our power, so.
And that's the whole reason Missouri River pays us back, is to try to keep the grid up.
Right, because if they got a high, they're gonna start, if they gotta keep everybody powered up. Or if we got a high usage, you know, and they can't demand it, they're gonna say, hey, Hillsboro, well, you run your generators, so now we can power other areas.
Yep.
And keep everybody up, otherwise, and that's, like you said, that's why they pay us. Because we have that in place, whereas other communities don't have that in place, but also they don't get paid either.
Right. So the 2 generators that we do have right now, are those paid off?
Yes.
Okay. I'm always future forward thinking, so I think 20 years down the road what the price of something like that would cost at that moment.
Well, just another point of information for you. If you would like to get a generator, if you don't want it in the self-contained unit, we can get it in 25. If you want it in the self-contained unit, it might be 26 or 27 before we can, if we ordered it today. That's the lead time on
No, I
production.
just don't like being cold in the winter.
Especially if it's on the other end, you know, so, on the supply end, you know, that's the big thing is,
The only reason I had thought, I just looked at the price just to see what the difference would be. He didn't tell me on that 2.2 how much fuel capacity is in those units or how long they can run. Because right now we have a storage tank there. For that, the only thought was that so you could move them, maybe we want them over at that substation, or if we had a different substation, we could move it. That was the only thought of the self-contained, but obviously it is a quite substantial price. With
would they cover a building if you did similar, if you moved, let's say you put similar to what you have over here with two, put it over there, for example, with two, would they cover the building
I would
too?
assume so, to get it all up and running.
Right, so,
So where would we take the money out to cover this? Would that be
electrical.
electrical has it to cover?
And this is not, like I said, this is,
This is
right
the
now
budget.
it's 8 questions that they are asking. It is not a, high grant, you know, a lot of work that AGS is gonna put into it. I think they looked at it as to, if we had any projects like stormwater, flood, or anything like that. But said we don't have any of those ready to go for us right now. This is one that we can put in. This is probably going to be a revolving type fund, the way it looks, for years to come with DES, but, you know, we've been, it's one of those things, if you don't have that packet ready to go, how are you gonna get it? And this is one thing that we've been talking about, and we have the numbers and we know. And fortunately with this, you know, that ultimately, all the funds to pay for this is gonna come out of the generation fund. We won't have to take basically anything out of electrical. There's enough in that fund. There's about 150,000 that we left in there, and we generate about 180,000 a year.
So we've already got that safe put away, so,
Yep.
until that was gone. But, and Jim, of course, when he, you know, before he, you know, he was still here, he brought this up at another meeting too, that this was out there and that it's something that we should look at in the future. So, you know, it's something that he saw value to at that time, and it was just a matter of how we, and things have happened as far as the payments go. They've increased payments for it and things like that, so I think we go ahead and do it and get the numbers, get what's gonna make sure everything is like it's supposed to be, get on the list, so to speak, and then we, if everything holds true like you're saying, you know, what is it really, it's, especially if we could relocate one other one over to that side of town, that would be huge, so.
And you're saying, so we have 2, but you would, if we did 2 more, that's all we would need is the 4 total?
4 total, yeah.
Well, it would cover probably 95% of our electrical needs. Probably 100%, because if we did ever get to the point where we're gonna use close to 8, we'd probably ask people to conserve a little bit more, then the electricity would stay on, we wouldn't have to rip people off, so.
And we have several businesses. Dagelman has a generator that'll run some of their stuff.
Oh.
The hospital has a generator that runs some of their stuff. Courthouse. So I would just need a motion, one to approve that we submit this, and then 2 of you want to go for 2 generators, and we're probably looking at that $4 million, about, I would guess. It is a lot of money.
Got eggs.
So which option were we looking at? That's the 2,500 roughly a month. Is that the enclosed?
That'd be the 2.
2 enclosed though, or 2 not
No,
enclosed?
2 with a building and then close them. Very similar to what we have now. The other one, you'd be looking at probably $4.5 million. And that 4 million, I'm just guessing, because it's 1.3 for each, so that's 2.6, and
You have to buy a fuel tank and.
Yep.
And there are no grants, huh?
That's, yeah, this is paid for, so.
It's pretty much a grant that's getting paid off over time, but not.
It's using that money for what it's really meant to be used for.
So basically, it's generating enough of a pot to continue generating that pot, is what you're
What's
saying?
that?
It's kind
Well,
of
if you think about
generating, so
this,
we're
we
not losing
took
any
out-
money out of it.
Oh, we'd be using some unless we took it out of electrical. We'd be using some to make that payment.
The generator fund has paid for itself. We have not, until today, or until this year, we haven't taken any money out of there to pay for things. And we took out 600. So we transferred
We transferred. I can't remember.
It
I
was
could
either
tell
500 or
you.
600,000 out of it. to
I'm sure
cover
there are
some of
those
those
other
other
things.
things. So I mean, there was a pretty big chunk, and that's been growing for years, because
Right.
when I first started, I think it was only about 200,000, so.
And then if they keep the plan going, that, once it's paid off, if they keep what they're doing now currently, that's gonna double, because they're gonna be paying us for 4 generators versus just 2. So, gotta keep that in mind too.
After 20 years,
Then it's just money coming
Yeah,
back
right,
each
money
month.
coming.
If they continue what they're doing,
So the loan is for 20 years?
you can do up to 20 years, so we could, once we submit it and we do, it doesn't even ask right now how long you want a loan or finance, if that's all done in the midterms, or after they decide that, yes, this is a project to fund. The other good part of this is, we're not just benefiting Hillsboro and Dakota. Let's say the power goes out somewhere else, or this rolling blackout comes in and we are able to supply power. Us and then the other communities can start keeping it up, so it's more of a regional response besides just a local response. Yes, it's gonna benefit us ultimately, but it is also regional.
And our energy supplier is really big on this. They're really pushing this.
There was it the last? MERS letter.
Yeah, it was on the front page.
Yeah, it was on the front page. I'm trying to find that number. 19 members in our MRES will do, we can produce 156 megawatts of electricity, so we bring it up another 4. So 160 megawatts of electricity. And they pay $5 per month per kilowatt.
Will it be just a monthly payment when on the 20-year loan, is that?
Correct. We pull in $5 per kilowatt. So we pull in $20,000. Or not. 11,000 a month, or 10,000. And then we add in another 2,500 and our payment is paid for. But in reality, we are pulling in, if we had both generators, we'd be pulling in about $20,000 a month.
So would it be affecting our fund for working on replacing electricals?
No, everything would stay in the generation fund.
Well, I think it'd be a benefit, for sure.
Do I have a motion to,
I'll make that motion to apply for it, to go ahead and have the 2S.
I'll second it.
to 4?
For the 2, yeah,
Okay.
for 4.
For 4 megawatts. Is there any other discussion? Moved by Paul, seconded by Dave. Dave?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes?
Paul?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. I think that's all that I have, so. JR, do you have anything? Exciting?
Casey?
We don't have a whole lot. We are planning on getting the Christmas tree cleaned up this month on a warmer Wednesday. Hoping to go out there this week. Other than that, nothing new.
Okay. Anything from the sheriff's office?
Only thing I have is, last deputy we hired is off of training and now working on his own, so we're one closer.
We'll move down to old business, because I don't think we have any changes on the beautification tickets. So the 1881 extraction request, JR, do you have any updates on that?
Yes, after speaking with them, really, we're just a pass-through entity for this, so we can sign an application as proposed. There is no city dollars at work here.
Oh, there's,
It's all federal money or federal/state money through the Community Development Block Grant Fund. So the city had to become the applicant, but it all passes through and it's all on 1881. So we can sign it as is and we're not on the hook or anything, so.
okay. I have a motion for the signing of all those, along with the, what was another form we had?
There's a code of conduct.
Code of
which
conduct, yeah.
Meets with, it's very similar to our city handbook, code of conduct, so.
Do I have a motion to approve the signing of the 1881 document?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Moved by Jason, seconded by Nicole. Is there any other discussion? Paul?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. Any changes? Casey got you guys the RFP for the garbage?
I did not send you guys the updated one, but I did change what I could remember from Paul from the last meeting. Paul, it was your birthday, I don't know. So I changed what I could remember. Jason pointed something out, so we changed that, from the, I took a JR move and I copied and pasted from another city. And that same goof up was on theirs too, so I just took it out. What I put in front of you, what I put in front of you is what I have currently. Let me know if there are any other changes. I think we got everything covered.
I have a few you want me to just review again.
Please do.
You're not gonna lose it, are you?
I'll let you know if I change it.
One of my biggest things on here is, and I highlighted that, is,
To be decided.
it seems like they almost want to separate the business from the residential
Yes.
billing, and I don't know if we want to do that. I think we need to keep it all be billed through the city.
Yes.
Because the way
I
it's
think
worded,
so.
the way it's worded, is, to me, and maybe I'm reading it wrong. And also, there's a section here, every residential account must be picked up once per week and as needed for business waste collection. Well, I want a regular schedule for business waste collection myself.
Okay.
I don't know if the rest do, and then there's a couple other things in here. It says here, the contractor will be responsible for setting up a billing schedule with commercial units and shall be responsible for collection of those fees. We don't want that, do we, or do we? As a commercial business, I don't want to deal with them. I'd rather,
Where are you at, Paul, on that?
page 4, down towards the bottom, city payment for services.
Okay, so you would, the city will pay the contractor once per month according to the number of residential units billed by the city in that month. The contractor will be responsible for setting up a billing schedule with commercial units. So yeah, so this city didn't want to deal with commercial units, so you want the commercial units to stay with the city billing, correct?
Well, I've never had a problem with it, so I don't know why we want to change it. But Dave, you maybe
What you're saying is that you would be setting up account
with the garbage.
with the garbage?
Right, and I.
No, I think we should
I don't wanna
run it
do
all
that.
to the city.
Okay.
That's my,
It's funny, if they wouldn't do that either, because they have to build.
And on that,
Yeah, I wouldn't
and then
wanna
on
do
that same
either.
page, if you go towards the top, on the third paragraph down, at the end, it says, such adjustments must be, what
Oh,
is it?
that's what we got removed.
We did, yep.
Okay,
We
okay.
removed that.
And also that, just on that same line, request and adjustment, contractor may request, maybe that's supposed to be word, request and, not and.
Where are you looking?
Third paragraph, first sentence,
Third, okay, what page?
four.
Four.
Four. Third paragraph, first sentence, okay. I am never copying and pasting. Contractor may, okay, so contractor may request adjustment, okay, okay, I get you.
I'm just thinking it's and, but.
Yep,
no D
nope,
on it.
I just took the and out of there.
And then on page 5, contractor will make services available to each commercial business and negotiate separate for hauling and disposal. So that kind of falls back to the same thing we were talking about before, if you don't want that.
You said page 5?
Yes,
I don't see that.
on the top. It's just kind of going through it and taking anything out that pertains to, maybe I got the wrong
Page 5 is
copy.
different.
Yeah,
My
I'm
5
looking
is
at this
different.
one. Yep,
I think
Okay.
so.
So basically, take anything out that deals with a commercial customer having to deal with them directly, we don't want that. So anything
Okay.
that provides that.
So change it so it's dealt with through the city, okay.
Right. And then also on that same, on mine, or it's got, contractor will provide a 20-yard roll-off collection for cold ashes. I think it was mentioned last time, maybe I mentioned, do we even need? You don't need that even in there. And then, contractor will provide 17 roll-offs for collection of compost materials.
I did take 17 out, because that was a question I had for you guys. Do you guys normally do roll-offs for that type of collection, or no?
No.
No,
No.
okay.
And I don't know if, I'm not gonna even say anything about it, because if they're willing to do it, I'm not gonna argue. Because there's something in here about, like city cleanups.
It says it's free.
It's free.
Oh, excuse me, it's a contract.
So, unless the rate goes really,
Yeah,
yeah, so you saw that too?
yep.
So,
Okay, so with all of that, so change commercial over to city responsibility. Take out the roll-off discussion for garden waste and grass and all that. And then take out the city shall maintain an area for brush and trees at their own expense. Okay.
Do we need to?
no, we
list
do that already, so.
About the cardboard?
I didn't see
that
anything
was-
about cardboard now that you mentioned.
Well, we do have that, so I just.
Yeah, so you might want to add that in there.
Is that other recycling?
Yep.
That's under recycling.
Less cardboards.
That's, swap out leaves and put in cardboard.
Well, should we hold off till the next meeting, just to make sure that it's done right?
Well, it's got time if you want.
Just when Paul comes over to visit, to make sure that you get all this.
Well, we
You
did-
have him look at it.
You did give this to her.
I did.
I'm not losing my mind. I'm just making sure I'm not losing my
No,
mind.
I
here.
meant that when she makes all the changes, give it to you first.
Oh.
2 weeks ahead of time, so that
Hey,
you can
he had
change
one
that.
and he had one, so don't throw me under the bus.
Yes, but you had the most.
Oh
I just want to make sure that she knows that at least we're looking at it. So. Otherwise, she'll feel bad that she does all that work and we don't even look at it.
You can say that Paul isn't.
Thank you, Paul.
Anything else?
For the headache, you're saying?
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I brought it up, right?
We're never doing this again.
We shouldn't have to.
Not for
You
5
don't
years.
have to, just, when it's done, just copy and
You have to find
save,
it.
not ever delete.
Find a more reliable town, right?
Oh my.
Hey, don't say
Yeah.
that. They did that with the ordinances.
Just, you won't have to do it for 5 years at least.
And then you'll have a template done, so you don't have to.
You don't have to steal it from
Unless you
me.
forgot to save it.
And then if you guys change it, we'll just send it off to somebody else.
All right.
Our next item is a discussion on hiring electrical personnel. I mean, my question is, would you like to go down in the personnel matters, so you know that before going into the, before we go into C?
Doesn't matter to me.
It's up to you guys if you wanna know what ahead of time.
Don't matter to me.
Okay. Then, do I have a motion to go into an executive session for regarding personnel matters at 7:53?
Shut the mics off.
Yep, one second.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Is that okay?
I'll second.
Okay.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Jason. Dave?
Yes.
Nicole? Jason?
Yes.
Dave? Or Paul?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. We're gonna go on an executive session at 7:54.
Make sure we do that recorder on the right stuff.
You're live on that.
yours now?
Does it work now?
It'll probably take a second or two.
Take a second before they get to it. I'll ask them.
Maybe we need to hire a technical person to take care of all of this for us. High school kid maybe. Okay, so like Paul said, it is there in, the round 38 is what we had put in, but ultimately we can do whatever you so choose.
I think, in talking, and in case you can correct me, that the information that we found, that we'd probably be in the range, we probably wouldn't want to go any less than 40 an hour on it if we were asking. And even with the $40 and the benefits, a lot of it depended on, a little bit on whether they'd be single or a full family, but that would still keep us in the numbers that we have, correct, Casey? You correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
I'm assuming this is master electrician?
No, this is lineman.
This is the lineman one?
Lineman,
This is the lineman one, okay.
What we based, well, at least what I based my numbers on,
Still don't have it there.
what was, oh, I'm sorry. I was given a range, an hourly range for what a journey line worker would be, and then a distribution maintenance crew leader. I figured we wouldn't have a crew leader anytime. The journey line worker, minimum on this reputable person's, spreadsheet was $36.22 minimum an hour. Very maximum was $54.32. So I split the difference and did $40. Midpoint would be $45.27. But I thought
Is the journey the highest you can be?
on this, it only has 3 brackets. The very first is an apprentice line worker.
Yep.
The second is a journey line worker,
Okay.
which is the middle, and then the highest would be the distribution maintenance crew leader.
But I think it's only 2 certifications, the apprentice and then the line, or the journey.
I would suspect we'd be looking for the journey.
And that would help with,
Because right now, Jim obviously does a lot of that. You know, he's not a lineman, but he's done enough to work to where he basically can look at a situation and he can tell NODAC, this is what's going on, and this is what you gotta bring, or Barnesville. And that's what we want, somebody that has that capability that can come in and say, because obviously if you have a major problem, he can't do it all himself. But if he knows what's going on, and he knows what they need to have and what we're doing, it's of way more value to us. And then plus, if he's a journey lineman, he can work with people like Brian and Jay that are getting some of that time. So, and what brings us on, just to kind of emphasize that a little bit, what brings us on is all you know, Jim is retiring, and NODAC is no longer in Hillsboro. So before we always had the convenience of both those people, both Jim being around and NODAC being available right in Hillsboro. We no longer have that. So if we have an outage now, we have to contact NODAC out of Grand Forks or Barnesville, Missouri River out of Barnesville. And if we're willing to wait 2 to 3 hours to get a power outage fixed, well, then we wouldn't have to hire a lineman. But I don't think that's acceptable to anybody in this room, that we want to wait that long if we can possibly do something to correct that. And this is the one step that I think, and because it is in the budget, it's something that we've been looking at and talking about. And I think we're to the point now where we really got to seriously think about what we're going to do. Because we're getting to the point where we need to do a lot of maintenance. And there's a lot of maintenance that he can do with help. There's going to be a lot of maintenance that he's going to have help to do. But we have to start. We have an aging system that needs, it's time for it to get upgraded. And this was recommended not only by this, Missouri River recommended this, NODAC recommended this, Jim recommended this. It's just not something that we come off of, you know, these are people that we're trusting to guide our decisions, you know, they're the ones that are recommending this. And I think I said at last meeting, the gentleman from Missouri River said, this is the first thing you do. You get an ad and you get a lineman here. And he was pretty adamant about that, and maybe Casey can testify to that.
And would the lineman have enough work for a full-time position at that rate?
That same gentleman told me that if he came to this town and worked, he'd have enough work to do the rest of his life.
So we do need
Yep,
the
yep. That's what he said.
full-time.
Yep.
Probably the
full-time.
hindrance will be what our budget will,
Yeah, that'll be the big thing, is what our budget will be able to.
What is
This
the
time.
steps from journey to distribution?
Just years of experience, not,
I would think so, yeah. More managerial, more
I mean, because
managerial.
like the trades, they have to take exams to get to that master
And
level.
time.
and I don't think,
Time,
So I don't know the difference on this one.
my assumption, and this is based on what I've looked at and what I've seen, is the distribution person would be more of the high, not,
Not the, in the field work.
not, I mean, our line coming in is 7,000 megawatts. In town, you're working with, 4, 3, or somewhere in there. So as you get the bigger lines, you get more megawatts that are running through it. You need more experience to be doing that.
Okay.
I don't know that we need
We wouldn't
more.
need that,
I don't think so, and I think.
probably
the-
because we don't have
we
that.
don't, they don't, we don't deal with that side of it.
Okay. So the journey's probably the top level. that
The
we
journey
do
is the
need.
top level, it's just somebody that's gonna be able to have an understanding of, this is what we need to fix, this is what we need to do.
And this is how we do it in a safe manner.
That makes a lot more sense.
Are any of our current guys now, I mean, I'm not talking about not doing this lineman thing, but, or any, I know some of the guys are doing water treatment, are any of our guys taking any?
Yep,
electrical?
we have 2 of them right now doing that.
Great.
Yep.
There's 2 doing electrical or
Yep,
what?
Jay is doing some too, yep.
Oh, no, good.
Because
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, he's working on some of it too. He's been doing a few, I think we actually had a mileage charge for one time when we went to training.
I thought that was Bismarck, so I
No.
assumed it was.
I'm
I
glad
thought it was
you-
for electrical.
Just need a backup for a backup for a
Well, that's the
backup.
whole thing, that's what I was gonna say, you just can't have a lineman up in the bucket, you know, all by
Yeah.
himself.
Brian's doing
Yeah,
testing right
so
now.
if they can, you know, if that's what they're interested in, and
And-
they can get those hours in under alignment too.
Right,
that's-
and that was one of the things that he brought up too, is if you have a lineman here, he can get, because they need so many hours in order to
Right.
be a journeyman.
Yep,
And he'll never get that, he said, if he doesn't
If we
start
don't
working
have
on
it,
it,
yeah.
working with somebody and getting more hours. And that's how I took it from him, is that's another benefit of having a lineman on staff, is now he's gaining that. And I'm not an expert by any means of it, you know, but,
it makes sense though, if there's, that's why I asked the question on how much work, because if you just call someone in when it's needed, the hours are never gonna be enough to level up. But if you can do that on a full-time basis with someone underneath, they'll level up a lot faster because they're getting their hours in.
So the consensus I'm kind of hearing is that, yes, you guys are okay with moving forward with something. We would have to be in that $40 plus range, which would be 80 to, what it is.
you figured 80 to 104, wasn't there something?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what $40 now is,
In case he had that all figured out already. No, she might not have it on this computer.
I have it on that one.
But I could be wrong.
yeah. 83,200 is that
I
$40.
think 6,000.
Yeah. That's with no overtime.
Correct.
She actually had it broke down to retirement and bike on everything broke down, she had.
So if you want to say $40 an hour plus, or do you want to say 40 to,
I would say 40 to 45,
I would too.
because that's your mid-range, 45, 27.
which is, well, the 120 is closer to $58 an hour.
Might even be on the low end there, you know?
Well, I think it's a good place to start. I think it's gonna get people interested. If we don't have anything, might have to go up. But I'm just kinda going by the source we got this from, and they're, you know, that's kinda where they go, so.
So
Paul, do you have a motion?
I'll make that motion, yep. I'll make
40
a
to-
motion to hire, yep. 40 to 45, yeah, would be the range.
Do you want plus at the end, or do you just want 40 to 45?
You can, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Or depending on experience?
I would
But
put a
depending on
plus on it,
experience.
yeah.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Dave, to hire an electrical lineman. Is there any other discussion? Paul?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carried. We'll get that posted out. I do have one question with that, and with the public works director position. Are you guys willing to put some money in to possibly look at putting paid service or looking for a recruiter? And I would look into that, because we have gotten 0 applicants at this point toward public works.
What's that generally cost?
Well, you could spend 50,000, or if you gave me a budget of, say, 3,000 or 5,000, that's what we start with, and then we go from there.
I guess my first question is why aren't we getting any responses? Are we too low?
Well, as of right now,
Well, it hasn't hit enough.
well, like with your Indeed posting, there wasn't, I didn't even think of this, but there wasn't a motion at the last meeting to have a budget for advertisement.
Right.
So right now it's posted without being prompted,
Right.
you know?
Which I didn't think about it the last time there was an option on the last time that you could pay per applicant.
Yep.
So I was able to bypass it, so I'd say, here's a good applicant, so please send your resume this way, and then I could say that I denied it on the Indeed side.
So you don't have.
You don't have to pay, but you can't do that anymore.
Yep. You can do it completely free, but they won't bump your advertisements. They'll say, what's your budget, you know, per day. The very first amount was like $36 a day that they suggested. So I don't know if you guys wanna,
And the other thing with Indeed is then you can start searching for applicants that already have theirs in there. On the Indeed side, I don't know about the others.
either.
I've also, in the past, we got a couple from recruiters asking about it. One of the applicants we did get out of one that got a job before was actually a recruited job for Casey's position.
Yeah, there's quite a few on Indeed, for sure. Especially if the criteria don't hit their inbox.
And you could, on the Indeed side, if you're paid, then you're able to see, like, you can go out and search individuals out to see who might be a good fit for us and say, hey, would you like to apply for this position?
Is there a different rate if you go monthly or weekly versus daily, or is it $36 a day? Is there a difference?
That's what they initially suggested.
You just set a budget. If you want to spend $500, and this is what you get. And it goes until that time.
So what would be like 30 days? Let's get your handy dandy
About
calculator.
$1,100,
About $800?
$1,200.
1,200?
At that 36.
Did they say how many, what their reach would be for 36 by chance?
I can't remember. I'll see if I can log in. I might have to go get the city cell phones.
I mean, I'm assuming it's gotta be in the thousands if it's 36.
Let me see if I can get on my side.
You think that'd be pretty beneficial, Casey? Levi obviously does.
You know, when so we did it a little different, like what Levi was saying, you know, you would pay per applicant. When we were looking for my position in Harwood, we did get a lot of applicants. by having, you know, the paid thing. It was spendy, I think, by the time, and that was when you paid per applicant. If you didn't deny them, then, you know, you'd be charged, but it still did some sort of a boosting, you know, to promote. They probably spent, I know it was over $1,000 for that type of promotion.
Is it worth it?
Well, we got lots of applicants.
Got lots of applicants.
There were at least, I set up 18 interviews. So, because our mayor wasn't, at the time, he wasn't able to organize them and see which ones he wanted to actually interview. So, and that's probably why we ended up spending so much. But, yeah, I know we had over 18 apply though. So, yeah, it was a long night of interviewing. I mean, it's one thing to post it out on, so here's where we posted it. We've got it on the city website, you know, that's relatively free. You know, you guys pay your yearly subscription. It's on Indeed. Right now, we're not paying anything for that. It's on Job Service North Dakota. We don't pay anything for that. And then we have promoted it on the Facebook page. So, and we send it to the newspaper. So we've done as much local, fairly free advertising that we
Do
can.
we have LinkedIn by chance?
I have a personal LinkedIn.
Do we do a statewide newspaper?
Guess I didn't think about that
We
one.
could do that too.
Do a statewide newspaper? Okay.
So it says,
I think you can actually do that right through Cool, can't you?
Yep.
You know,
Right through where?
through
Cool
Cool,
banner.
the banner.
Oh, through Cole, okay. Well, perfect. I gotta talk to him tomorrow anyways.
so it's saying if we spend $39 a month, or that, or no, $39 a day, it's predicting 2 to 8 applicants over the next 4 weeks. And even if you went up to $2,000 a month instead of 1,100, it's saying 6 to 9 applicants.
I wonder, if there, I don't know your guys' feelings on this, but maybe some of the colleges that offer, you know, schooling for linemen, maybe they'd be an okay spot to advertise with. You know, maybe they would know, maybe not a
Are we
new
talking about
graduate.
both jobs or just gyms right now?
Gyms right now.
In particular, but I think we're gonna have to pay both.
Yeah, maybe they, you know, maybe you guys wouldn't want somebody fresh out of college, but maybe some of those professors would know somebody who's got a few years, you know, in the,
Yeah, where that school from?
I don't know.
Bismarck
I'm trying to think of Wapaton, but I don't know if they. do
Bismarck
that there.
does, Wadena does.
Was Wadena?
Yeah, Wadeena's a lineman school.
Well, that's two I know off the top of my head.
And there's other options of finding recruiters and those, you know, looking, that's their job. I haven't looked into that to see what that would cost either, but.
So
If you're
could
willing to
we
give us a
maybe
budget,
set
I think
budget?
Casey and I could figure out something so we could try to get, and it would be for both applicants. So we're gonna, this is gonna be, the lineman might be harder than the public works director.
Both big jobs.
They are. And that can come out of,
Well, I would assume the lineman one could come out of electrical.
it could, is it last month you had the financial statement?
Yes.
Trying to remember how much we were there. March.
for advertising?
Or
Oh,
the
for,
budget, or the, what we spent so far, financial status.
there you go, yep. Should be. Budget control, yep, there you go.
On the year, under the, this can come out of the president's fund, this is one of those things we set aside for it, there's 8,200 left in there, so we can use it out of that to help pay for the, out of the general fund.
My thought on the electrical lineman, I think we should try running it, since it's not a huge need like right now, see if we get any applicants for a bid, run it for a month or something. See, never know, there might be somebody out there that has a buddy that's a lineman that's, they can recruit over.
Do you have that?
I don't, I wish.
I don't have no problem with that, I think that's a good place to start, we don't know what, I don't know, but maybe,
Are
you
you
never
okay
know,
with-
it's more specific, you know, whereas Jim's job is pretty broad. You know, it would be worth it on the lineman side, I thought I'd go for a month and see what happens.
Okay, that's fine. So, is there a motion to spend some money on the other one?
I would make that motion.
How much?
I would say, what do you think, 1,000? No, probably how much?
You wanna run it for a month?
Maybe a month,
1,200?
yeah, maybe a month.
And that's only on Indeed, so if you want us to look at other options, we might want to spend a little more.
No, I was just talking about Indeed, so I think we should go ahead and do it in the North Dakota newspaper. But
How much does it cost for the North Dakota newspapers?
I don't know what it
Is
was,
that-
100
like a-
and,
But
it's not,
wasn't a lot,
100 and
not
some, anybody got a banner access?
and it's for how long? Like, it's so much to run it weekly, right? Out of the newspaper,
In the
so-
weekly newspaper, yeah. Do we want to run it then in the Grand Forks Herald or the Forum?
Those are super spendy, I've heard, that's when we tried to do that for positions.
But on a
Yeah.
statewide, it would get run in there anyway, wouldn't it?
No, that's just small, that's just
the
small.
year, or just the weekly?
Weekly.
Well,
I'd say try the state one, if it's reasonably cost, you never know.
So maybe not to exceed $2,500.
That's what I was saying,
That-
2,500 or whatever you want to give us to figure it out. That sounds,
Yeah.
Has anybody had much luck on Indeed? I've heard a lot of mixed stories,
well,
mixed reviews.
I mean, if they're punching in,
we
if they're
had,
punching in specific criteria, you know, you're not gonna have that good luck. But if you're willing to move or, you know, transport or whatever, then you get a nice broad search. It really depends.
in our last application process, we had Indeed and we had 5 that came from there.
I think our firm exclusively uses Indeed, and a couple other listings, I guess, for some of the stuff, but Indeed is the go-to for us. It's $160 a week for the multi-paper thing.
That's close on my 150.
It does not include some multi-day papers, so I don't know, it might be in the forum, I don't know.
If you were to post on Jobs HQ, it's, standard job posting is $199. Post your job for up to 30 days.
So you probably could do like a couple of different things.
Right, it's to give us,
Up
that's what I
to,
said, up
yeah,
to
that's what I'm thinking,
2,000 or
$2,500.
2,500? Is that in your motion then?
I'll make the motion to approve $2,500 for
Is there a second?
advertising.
Is there a second?
That's coming out, that's still gonna come out of your,
I'll still take it out of that one, yes.
well, I just wanna make it easy for Casey. I'll second it.
Probably moved and seconded by Nicole and Paul. Is there any other discussion? Dave,
yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
and a yes for me. All right. We'll go down to D. Tyler Tech is the first one. That is the accounting software that Missouri River has been pushing for us to move forward with. Casey told me today that we received the grant through the federal grant, which was, so the total cost of the one-time total cost is $75,000 for us to implement this in. This is gonna take some time to get implemented in. This is not we implement it today and be ready to go. We get 45% of that is paid for by the grant. And so we would pay not 45,000 is paid, 45% is paid for. And so we would cover the rest, which,
So 33,750 is paid for?
correct. So about 45,000, or 40,000 is what we are, 42,
41,250
yep,
dollars.
is our percentage. And then our yearly fees of 25, does that sound right?
It's 30.
Is it 30?
Yeah, 30,422 is recurring fees.
But with that, we do not pay, we don't even have to worry about that next item, the new payment system software, because that would, everything is in-house together under Tyler Tech. All the payment software, everything's in it.
Yep.
So,
When you say payment inside of it, you mean no more like PSN type of
correct.
stuff?
Yep.
Okay,
It's
third party.
all the software is Tyler Tech software. The payment side, everything is all with it.
So it takes out the third party.
Yep.
Any cost savings by doing it?
No. It's
Okay.
definitely not a cost savings. I think we're at about 12,000 a year right now. So we going up.
Okay.
The benefit is that it should save on and free up time for them to work on other things, as we've been told from other communities.
So where's the money come out for that?
Some of it would come out this year, some of it would come out next year, because it's as we go, it gets paid, it's not. So even if we started today, if we made most of it, we'll probably come out in 25, because I think they said 4 or 5 months before we'd even get started and on the process, so.
So 30,422 would be reoccurring every year to utilize all that?
Yes.
And
That-
so it's not a cost savings, but is it anything additional than what we're paying now? Like if we're paying 18,000 now, so we're technically spending 12,000 extra dollars over that. I mean, you know, we're paying now, if anything,
We're paying right around 12.
so it's about $15,000.
And I don't know, I can't remember what we're paying for fees on PSN. Do you remember?
Not off the top of my head. You guys pay a decent amount for fees for them though. I was surprised. We didn't pay that in Norwood. So,
Does this take over the Banyan side of things?
Yes.
Like
It
this
would-
replaces it,
This would
right?
replace
Obviously.
this,
yeah. I'm trying to double check. That quote that I sent to you guys for Tyler, I'm pretty sure that included, I wanted a quote on purchase orders, just because that was a pretty hot topic. So I asked for the purchase order module to be in it as well. So if you guys don't want that, I think the price could come down. I'm just trying to find all of my emails from,
So my next question is, these workshops, do any of those third-party vendors, are they ever there, like in the, vendor booths and stuff like that? Just from your experience, Casey, is this something that, it seems like Banyan has kind of been the back stem for a lot of these, and a lot of them changing over to this Tyler Technologies, because I've heard a lot about it.
Tyler Tech is the Cadillac. It's, they're huge in the counties. I don't know if Trail County has Tyler Tech, I feel like they do.
I think they do.
Yeah, I know when I worked for the county back home, they were pushing for Foster to get onto it as well, because there were so many benefits and so much transparency with the software. It was easy to see all the different departments that were utilizing it, and they could almost kind of talk to each other with what they were doing. MRES is pushing hard for us to get it. And I guess from the sounds of it, it sounds like they have been for quite a while.
And Missouri River has hired a person in-house to help support Tyler Tech use for anybody that uses it. Besides the Tyler Tech support, so. We've been talking about it for a while. We were holding off until we knew that the audit was coming through and getting done before we did a lot of this. And even, his name is Ron, is the one that said, no, until you get the books cleared up and things, everything you're starting with, so.
Does this maybe perchance make it cheaper for doing audits since it's the Cadillac?
Possibly, or less work for.
Also-
It's supposed to take a lot of the work that,
Yeah, the workload off
Off.
for efficiencies.
and it should help with our billing software where we're getting issues on bills, some of those things. Maybe there is an option in there that tells us if the water usage is high or the electrical usage is high as well, so. Those are all things that we can look at.
Well, how much are we paying a year for PSN?
Not sure, let me look real quick.
For Banyan, we were paying about 12,000 a year.
$12,000 a year?
12,000 a year.
Okay.
I believe Tyler Tech was cloud-based too, so,
Yes, so then
Okay.
we can get rid of the servers.
yep. And that, I mean, if you wanted to look at anything, we could pull up anything, whereas the question that you just asked, what do we pay for PSN right now? If I didn't have all of the invoices scanned in from Abby and Sarah doing that, I'd have to go back over there and look, so that'd be kind of nice.
So if it gets rid of the servers, then we wouldn't need to utilize some of that cybersecurity grant funds for the server, then we don't need a server.
Correct. And there wouldn't be those yearly fees, which are about $2,000 or more.
Should we use that other one for a year at a time then? Now we're paying for 2 years on a server.
It'll be a while before we get this implemented, don't we?
This probably won't be until 26.
True.
Okay, so, in January, you guys paid $345. And that is just for the monthly billing period, it appears. So $345, we'll try another invoice, but,
So about 41, 40 a year, and if it's the same every month.
yep, 367 is, or excuse me, 387 was the bill you paid in January, or in February, excuse me. Another year, but I'll just pick some random ones out of 23, here's June. That one's 381. Yeah, it's, 300, almost $400 a month that you guys are paying right now for PSN for their service fees.
So that would remove that component. So then now we're up to $16,000 in savings.
I'm sure there's more savings involved.
How
It's
much more
just-
can I nickel and dime here?
Have you ever used Banyan?
So
You
the
should use
only-
Banyan for now, and then
I
make this
know,
decision.
the technology side
Correct.
of me is like, I really wanna see this system.
Okay, so fun fact, I like Banyan, but I know how to use Banyan.
Yeah, see.
So, and it's so apparent that, you know, when Banyan was brought here, you know, people just weren't taught how to use it, so. But yeah, I got a soft spot for Banyan, but I know there are so many cities that say mine is so much better than Banyan. You know, they'll talk about their own software, like Black
Well,
Mountain or
if a lot of
Tyler.
it's integrated, it really actually saves more money and time because your efficiencies are running a lot quicker.
Mhm.
So I know what, Ashley and Sarah had said before you would come in and take over, that they were all for moving on with it. What is your opinion? Is this something that we need to do and move forward with, or is this something we could live without?
That's tough. I feel if the city's going to be more active with MRES and want to do more with them, from what I understand, they've pushed really hard for the city to go with Tyler Tech. And I wish I could remember what it was that was so advantageous for them. I can't remember what exactly it was from our discussion. That would be my biggest thing. Right now, the biggest downfall that I feel we have with Banyan, I do feel on the utility billing side of things, we could be more efficient. Right now, like take for example, anybody who's on state assistance. That's something that can't be planned for, so Sarah has to pull every single bill from her 800 plus stack of bills and handwrite in what somebody's bill will be with their energy assistance applied. It's really not an option to put a credit onto their current bill until the money actually comes in. So she manually writes every single one out. And it does take a good while to generate the bills in Banyan. That was one of the first things that I noticed. In Harwood, it didn't take so long. We only had 300 bills. But this 800, plus, rotation of bills, it takes a while. So those are my only criticisms right now on it. I think the capabilities would just be a little, maybe more forward with MRES if we went with Tyler. So.
Is there any way, is anyone attending the spring workshop? Are you guys heading?
Yep, so Sarah and I are both getting awards for doing, leadership training. So her and I are gonna go, and Abby's gonna be sitting here, at your next meeting. So I'm glad you guys said.
So if Tyler Technologies is a third-party vendor there, is there any information that can be brought back this way?
Yes.
Or a rep or something? I've heard it's a pretty good, robust system.
I can give you Ron's number, and he will sit down and talk with you multiple times. And maybe it was last week.
He emailed us. Yep.
Well, no, there was a every month or so they give an update on, or we'll talk about Missouri River and why move towards Tyler Tech.
I think they have a monthly newsletter, do they not?
Maybe.
Tyler Tech.
Yeah, I think I've even gotten emails from them. So if I look at this just from the reoccurring of the 30,422, paying roughly 12,000 for the Banyan, and the 4,644 approximation of the PSN, that leaves us with $13,778 extra, which is a $1,148 extra a month. Do I have my math about right?
That's what I got.
Take or hit, couple pennies. So,
I will forward it on to all of you. It's on Wednesday at 9:30 to 11. So Wednesday the 14th.
I would love to go to this, for my
So this is just an online webinar that they'll do. Make sure you block that off next Wednesday, 9:30.
Next Wednesday?
Mhm.
Oh, the 13th, I said. Okay, you guys have it if you'd like to see it. Do you want to hold off until the next meeting after that to decide? And it's 7,400 is what we would pay once we sign up. After that, it is, there will be more. But. Okay. We probably won't even talk about the other payment software then, for now. The after hours policy utilities turning on services. So this was brought up, I got a phone call at 6:30 on Wednesday.
Probably a little before then, yeah.
On
Tuesday.
Tuesday, that an individual's power was shut off and wanted it turned back on.
Wasn't it Wednesday?
It
Yeah,
was
you
a
moved it to
Wednesday,
Wednesday,
actually.
right.
Yeah, it was a Wednesday.
You moved it to
Wednesday.
Wednesday, you're right.
Yep, because we
I
stayed
moved our
down.
trivia team
I just
separate,
knew it
so
was
know
trivia night,
personally.
and I always knew that was Tuesday.
Yeah.
They did move it to Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
And I had
I
to,
hit a deer on Tuesday.
I thought you had a deer Wednesday.
No, that was Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday, that's right.
Anyways, the
Anyway.
the point of it is yes, we do charge a reconnect fee, which is $150, but we don't charge is a after-hours fee, and if part of that, it wasn't necessarily this, in this case, it only took one person to come in and turn the power back on, but if we pull a meter and somebody calls and says they want their power turned back on, well, now do we have to get one of the guys to come put the meter in, and do we have to get somebody from the office to come in, and so that starts putting more of a hindrance on. So, my recommendation is, based on Casey's salary and what it would cost in overtime and anything else, is that if somebody wants their power turned on after hours, that's an extra $500 fee just for that, to get everybody lined up. Because it costs us about $150 an hour for each person if we're paying them time and a half, and we guarantee 2 hours for our policy if somebody comes in for work. So that's $400 right there, and our trucks have to go out and everything else.
I could see that when we're doing a meter, we have to put a meter in, but I don't think that's, if we're just flipping a switch, I don't think it needs to be that extreme. And if anything else, that incentivates, although I'm guessing anybody that has any problems gets a meter replaced pretty shortly, right, I'm assuming, right?
if there,
If they're chronic.
yeah, chronic's a good word.
Because I definitely, I don't have a problem with it. If we have to call somebody in to go put a meter in, that's definitely,
Or
worth
you,
it.
you could say 150 per person that we have to call in to get it turned on.
That would be fine by me. I can just see somebody, yeah, they're charging $400, $500 to flip a switch. And they're right, that is a little extreme, so.
So they would be, there's some kind of notification, there's some sheet that we have that has all this, that they would know that, Would they somebody, well, I never knew that.
The rate sheet that we had made before, that's posted online, that would be added onto that rate sheet.
Just so they don't have any questions.
Most definitely would have to know it up front. That's kind of why we didn't do anything this time, because we didn't have that.
So if that's something you want to do, all we have to do is make a motion saying that you would adjust the rate sheet to add $150 after hours fee per person that's called in, if that's what we so choose to do.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Is this only for like the physical meter, like Paul was saying, or also like the flip of a switch?
If it's a flip of the switch and only takes one person to do it, then it's 150.
Gotcha.
If it's we have to get somebody to come in to put the meter in, plus they have to come in because they gotta
get things lined up, then it's another 150. How many people have to come in to work to get it fixed?
Might deter late night calling, hopefully.
I would hope so. Either that or anything. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Dave, seconded by Paul. Is there any other discussion? Nicole?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. As Casey alluded, we need to, our cemetery contract authority is moving and not able to do the contract, fulfill it. Have we made any payments yet on that?
No.
So with that, our best option is probably just to reopen and bid out again, if that, for
I would say so.
April 1st.
Okay with that?
At the first meeting in April to get them in.
Just one more, right?
Did he only do it for 1 year? Is that what- so far?
He hasn't even done it.
Oh,
We were supposed to start this year.
Jason said he doesn't want to move.
I don't have a big enough anymore.
So.
No, I mean, because
am
you
I
got that
looking at
portfolio.
Two different things, because on the front it has Daryl Crowdy and on the back it has Simon Now.
I think it was just a miss
Yeah.
on the contract.
Yep. Okay, so we're just talking to Daryl. Crowdy.
Daryl Crowdy, yep.
Yep.
So hopefully we can find somebody. If not, I suppose we may have to do it ourselves and hire somebody. I have a motion to open it up, due in the first meeting in April.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Nicole, seconded by Jason. Any other discussion? Dave?
yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. There's two things that I forgot to talk about. One is, I won't be at the next meeting. I have something for the school going on the 18th, so I won't be here. And then,
I wouldn't do it.
you won't be there? Okay. Otherwise, we'd have to find somebody else to fill it.
We'd have to make sure us three actually came.
And one of you would have to be the one.
Yeah, that'd be a nose-goes.
We would not have a quorum, do you think?
And then the Red River Valley Water Supply Project, I have a meeting on the 3rd that I'll be going to, which is, I guess we have a meeting on April 1st, so that is on the, I know we'll probably have it on the 2nd, I would assume.
That's usually Good Friday.
Council meeting?
Council
so
meeting.
Monday we should.
Monday, do we have a day off or not?
Good
Because it's a
Friday,
Good
we have
Friday.
off.
So it's a Friday.
Yeah, Monday the 1st is the day off for the city.
That's what I
Oh,
thought. Easter Monday?
When is your city
Hold
week,
on a
or
sec.
your city week? When is that?
April 1st through the, April 1st through the 5th. So according to your guys' holiday schedule, we get Good Friday off.
But not
right.
sure.
Mhm.
Okay, so we will have a meeting on the 1st.
Were you gonna do something with, that was your government week?
Yes,
So were you, at one time you were talking about doing something with the school?
yes, but
You know,
they're closed on April
Yeah,
1st.
but would you move the meeting?
Move the commissioner meeting?
Yeah.
I wasn't planning to, I guess.
Well, I didn't know, because you wanted them to be parked, you know, possibly, so.
I was trying to figure out something else for that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No problem, I
Well,
just wanted to follow up on it, so.
With that, I guess we'll be able, but we could spend some money. I never asked you about that. For those that do the essay and actually when are we gonna spend something to get that and something?
I was hoping to.
As long as you're okay with that, I'll keep that in mind.
What's it?
Those that write,
Participate in
Oh.
the, if I
Participate.
were a mayor essay.
if I were a mayor essay.
Oh, okay.
'Kay. 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 'Kay Are we missing anything?
The only other thing was discussing that, possibly. I didn't know what you wanted to do on that.
Oh, number 9?
Mm-hmm.
Unless he shows up, I don't think we need to talk about it. Would that be? Anybody else?
Unless he shows up, Bill.
Yeah,
I'd
nice
like
to
to-
hear from him.
Great. Any other business for the good of the order? Thank you for getting a clock.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you for hanging, Dave.
Oh, you're welcome. Took me all 5 minutes.
He even used OSHA correctly. I was very pleased.
Yeah, we don't need it falling on anybody's head.
As long as the sticker holds.
It
Sticker?
does
It's a
wonky left
sticker?
and right.
Well, you have a lot more faith in a sticker than I do.
Casey has right above the door.
Yeah.
Casey approved it, so
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.